Hey everyone, my name is Ricardo De Cruz, and today we're here with a 2024 Lexus RZ450e, and we are going to show you how to identify ADAS sensors outside of the car first, and then we're going to walk inside and confirm everything we see and maybe find some surprises. Thank you everybody for tuning in today. We're going to get started. Looking directly at the front of the car, you can start to see some things we've seen before. First thing we notice is the Lexus emblem, which we've talked about. There generally is a radar sensor behind this emblem. And when you start seeing other ADAS features on a Lexus or a Toyota, the probability of the radar sensor being here becomes exponentially greater. The first thing we see here is potential radar, and we see a 360 camera. Looking just left and just right, we start to see parking sensors on the front bumper. Going around, you will notice there are parking sensors that come all the way to each side. This helps determine distance around the front of the vehicle when driving, parking, or sometimes coming up to a traffic light. Continuing further down the vehicle, once you get up to the windshield, you will notice this vehicle has a camera and a sensor. So we would have to look up, maybe that is a high beam sensor, or maybe that's a rain sensor. We're not really sure without checking OE information or any other information you may be able to get on this vehicle. But we do see that there is a sensor there. There is definitely a front camera. Pulling back on the dashboard, you will notice there's a HUD display here. There is information on this windshield that will display for the driver. Continuing around the driver's side, looking at the mirror, as we've done before, you get underneath, you will see two sensors. One is a camera, and the other is a distance sensor, sort of like the ones found on the front bumper. After identifying these two sensors, we proceed to the glass, and we can confirm that we definitely have blind spot. We have 360 radar camera, distance sensor, blind spot. Continuing down the driver's side, once you start getting towards the rear of the vehicle, you will notice here is the rear parking sensor. You don't notice any obvious spot where the blind spot would be, but we know from previous information on Toyota and Lexus, it is likely here. Continuing around the bumper, we confirm parking sensors all the way around, just like in the front. Then coming back and taking a look overall, you want to check near the license plate for 360 cameras. Here we don't see one, but we see two cameras. So we know one is 360, not sure which one, but one of them definitely is. I think it's going to be this one. But we're going to see what the other camera does. Continuing down the passenger side, again, no identification, but we know there's likely a blind spot sensor here. We come over to the passenger side mirror, and we confirm we definitely have blind spot detection. Checking underneath. Here we have our 360 camera and our distance sensor. We can check at the windshield. See the secondary sensor here and our camera. And closing out with the front, parking sensors that we showed at the very beginning. This is a relatively new EV that is packed with every ADAS feature available at the time of purchase. You can see from our simple walk around, we were able to identify lots of sensors that we can attribute to certain features the car has. That is the entire goal of the exercise that we did today, is to give you the ability and the confidence to walk up to any car you see and easily identify ADAS type sensors that are anywhere on the vehicle. Doing this is half the battle, primarily because one vehicle comes in and it's been in an accident. If that area has been touched, like the front bumper, for instance, on this Lexus, it requires 3 calibrations. You will have to calibrate the front camera, you will have to calibrate the front radar, then you need to calibrate each parking sensor unless Lexus has changed these instructions. Something as simple as a small hit will cause 3 calibrations in one instance. The general rule is if you're touching it, please look up the information. There's a high probability that if you touched one of these sensors, something has to be done. Not for every single vehicle, but for many vehicles. And the only way to really know and understand is to take some time, practice looking at cars that you have no vested interest in, and identify the features. Once you've seen them on the outside, if you can step in, you can further confirm what you saw. Thank you for watching. Now we're going to take you inside the car and show you what to look for in particular with this vehicle, but you will find that it's the same in many Toyotas and Lexuses with just small refinements as they get newer. Now, stepping into our Lexus, with the key off, we're going to go through just what we see. Starting on the left-hand side, you have buttons for seat controls, you have some odometer and lighting controls for the instrument cluster, you have a tailgate control, and these are all the buttons on the left side of the dash. On the right side of the dash, you do not see any buttons that would have access to features. You see a power button, and you see the infotainment display. From a button perspective, on the dashboard, this is what's available. Once you move out to the stalks, you start to see automatic high beams. Here are some basic lighting controls, but no other ADAS features here, just the auto high beams. Going to the opposite stalk, you will see wiper controls, but no ADAS features. But now when you back out to the steering wheel, you start to get a better picture. On the left side of the steering wheel, it appears there are all infotainment controls. But on the right side of the steering wheel, we start to see some familiar ADAS symbols. This is a button that will set cruise and lane keep at the same time if you're on the highway. This is the button to turn lane keep on and off. Other than that, we don't really see anything else here that we can identify. But based on the sensors, we know we have radar cruise, lane keep, automatic high beams, which explains the secondary sensor perhaps. That's all we can see right now. Here's the infotainment display, and you don't see anything obvious, but looking underneath, you will see a P button with the steering wheel, what looks like a camera and the word view written on it. But with the car off, we can't identify what this may do. Now we're going to turn the instrument cluster on and see what that tells us today. Look at how many icons appear on this dashboard just by pressing the power button. It's almost overwhelming to a degree. Now it's finally loaded. See how long that actually took? Look how far vehicles have come in such a short amount of time. So we're going to show it to you one more time. Now we're going to focus on the left-hand side of the instrument cluster. We're going to shift to the right-hand side of the instrument cluster. Look how long it takes to get that final icon up right there. Turning the key on, you'll see traction loss traction off and collision off. Park means the car is in park. Once the boot up sequence is finished, you will notice these ADAS icons here that have to do with lane control, radar, radar setting. On the opposite side of the cluster, you will notice all the basic safety items, along with 360 camera and some other Toyota icons. On this vehicle, most of the controls for ADAS are going to be in the infotainment system. Under Settings, Driving Assist, you have three options: Driver Support, Collision Mitigation, and Notification. Going into Driver Support gives you access to sensitivity, steering assist, deceleration assist, obstacle anticipation assist. These are all part of Toyota's proactive driving assist system. Going further down, you have controls for the dynamic radar cruise control, where it gives you acceleration, guide message, and reduce speed as controls. Going further down, you have the last system under driving support, which is lane departure alert system, and you have alert timing and alert options. Going into collision mitigation, you have a pre-collision system with a warning timing. Here you have options like default, later, earlier. You have the volume of the parking assist. Actually, lower that. That's kind of low. Moving down, the next one is the blind spot monitor. Here you have options like support timing, buzzer alert, and brightness. Safe exit assist, where you have the outside rear view mirror indicators. What this does is if you open the door and somebody is coming up on the rear, or sometimes even the front of the vehicle, and they're too close, you will receive an audible warning. The blind spot for the side where the warning is active will blink. You will also have a message here in the instrument cluster. The last one is notification. Here you have the ability to mark excess speed caution options, other caution options, what you consider excess speed caution level to be based on miles per hour, along with a driver brake suggestion if you're driving erratically and the car thinks you need a brake. On this Lexus, this is where you would control every single option for every ADAS feature we've talked about. Now, the only thing that doesn't make any sense is what does that extra camera in the rear do? Let's press the view button here and see what happens. When we press view, the car gives us a 360 panoramic view of our area. Then it zooms out and up. You have a great view of what's going on around you. Pressing the parking icon will now change this into a parking sequence where the vehicle will park for you. I have tried that on this car. I would not recommend it to anybody if you like your car, but if you want to see how it works, it is pretty cool to understand how these sensors navigate curbs and how it tries to get a car in a spot. But we still can't find out what that last camera does until we look up at the rear view mirror and see that that looks more like a display. If we change the view, it goes back to a regular mirror with touch garage door opener controls underneath. But when we flip it up, it now activates the second camera behind us so we can drive with a camera view. So sitting in the cockpit of this car, this is what driving this vehicle might be like. This is how you can step into just about any vehicle and identify ADAS features. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for your time and watching today. We hope that our tutorial with the 2024 Lexus RZ450e was educational and informational. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to reach out. Enjoy the rest of your day.